Three, two, one, and we're live. All right. Thanks again for tuning in to another episode of this Village Made podcast. Today we have a guest, and our guest today is Elone Fonua. Thanks again for taking a time out of your day. I know you're pretty busy. You got a lot of things going on, but I appreciate the time. Um, I guess first of all, I'd just like to give a shout out to our sponsors, C4 Designs. Go ahead and visit c4designs.com if you want that Village Made apparel. Also for the Village Made brand on C4 Designs is something new that he's come out with. C4 Designs is a clothing apparel, a clothing store, a clothing brand that wants to highlight our beautiful Nisian people and the different poly designs that we have to offer the world. So
now I can't forget C4 Design,
th-
C4 coming, yeah.
there you go. And so so C4 Designs is a sponsor of the Village Made podcast. So I guess for you, Elone, let's just get into this. Where were you born and raised?
Well, born and raised. Well, first off, thank you, Mavel. Appreciate you for even having me on the Village Made podcast, and Sharni. Appreciate all the video and audio from her. But born and raised Salt Lake City, Utah, 801.
I like that. Born and raised in Utah. And your name, I guess. Go ahead and tell us the story of your name, your full name, and
Elone Fonua. So my dad named me after the brother of Moses, which is Aaron in English, and Elone in Tongan. Middle name Deco after my late grandpa Deco Fonua. So Deco and Makasini Fonua immigrated from Tonga to Hawaii, and then the Bay Area, and then Salt Lake City.
awesome. And do you know where in Tonga they're from? What villages in Tonga?
Yeah. So on my dad's side, Homa Tonga, Kaikuma, and my mom's side is from Vatu.
Okay. Awesome. So you said they migrated from Tonga to the Bay and then to Utah.
Yeah, my dad's family. Yep.
Do you know the reason why they moved from Tonga?
The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Gotcha.
I don't want to say the church because there's plenty of good churches out there, but yeah, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is pretty much what brought them here to the States and ended up in Utah.
Gotcha. Okay. So you were born and raised in Salt Lake, you said?
Yeah, Salt Lake City, Utah.
Okay, cool. And you grew up in the Avenues, you said? Was it
Yeah, so we
Avenue?
grew up in the Avenues. My grandpa, if anybody knows where the church office building is, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, he bought the house right across the street from there. Only because the church office building gave it shade in the evening. At least that's what my dad told us. That's why he purchased the house. And obviously it's just a block away from the Salt Lake Temple. So it ended up being a landing spot for a lot of Tongan Polynesian families in the Avenues. And a lot of the first ones that came here to Utah settled there in the Avenues in Salt Lake. So yeah, we were one of them, the Fonuas, and plenty of families. Go down the list: Afiakis, Wolfgrams, Duhas. The list goes on. But yeah, the main ones that first came here, as with our people anywhere where we settle, I think we'd look out for one another.
Right.
So I felt that a lot growing up here in Salt Lake. We grew up in the Liberty Third Ward.
Okay.
So a lot of Tongans, if they say Liberty Third, we kind of know that was one of the original Tongan congregations that started, and a lot of friends still from that ward as a child. But my dad ended up moving us out to Magna, Utah, out on the west side. But yeah, we were born and raised in Salt Lake through our elementary days, anyways.
Gotcha. I know you touched on it a little bit, but what was childhood like for you, I guess, growing up in the Avenues?
Avenues, it was good. Played for the West Panthers. A lot of our family was there in the Rose Park area and in the Avenues. So all of our football practices was at Rose Park, and people hear that a lot. Even if they're from different states. If they have any ties to Tongans, they know that there's a Tongan community in Rose Park area, and Fonuas were heavily embedded in the Rose Park area, and I think that was kind of part of the reason as well that my dad decided to move us out to Magna, Utah. To probably felt like there's a lot of gang activity and didn't want us associated with it. And I don't know if Magna was any better, but yeah.
So when did you guys move out to Magna? Were you still in high school or were you in elementary?
Towards the end of my elementary days, and then then junior high, high school, all the way till I left on a mission was in Magna, Utah. Which it's funny because Salt Lake, you're there with a lot of Tongans. Growing up, like my dad, he had so many brothers and sisters, so I had so many cousins. Just first cousins alone on my dad's side. I think there's over 125 of us. Crazy. And that's first cousins, meaning if you tell any Tongan that's my first cousin, you knew they grew up as brothers and sisters. Right. Either one point or another under the same roof, or every month there was always a family activity, family get together, something. So we grew up very, very, very close. So to move from Salt Lake out to Magna, where there was probably maybe 3 Tongan families, you know.
Oh, so you were one of the first to start out there?
Yeah, 3, there was like the Bohas, Tautiolis, and the Vakapunas, but they were kind of like on the edge of West Valley and Magna, and they don't want to claim Magna. Huh, Fui? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, it's Fui?
No, it's family.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, there wasn't very much Tongans out there. So, I mean, I was called the N-word on the bus, which was new to me.
Talk about that, yeah, that experience.
When I was called, the N-word, I'm like, on the bus in Magna, I'm like, wait, my cousins all call me Saipani. Like, they call me Asian, and y'all calling me black? I'm like confused. But yeah, it was different growing up out there, but I'm very, very grateful for the people I met out there and people I grew up with. My best friend, I met him out there, and we're still best friends now till today. Lance Talakai. He ended up going to UH, linebacker.
Nice.
The Bishop now. He's probably one of the top, if not the top public defenders for criminal lawyer here in the state of Utah.
Okay.
So his whole goal was we got in a little bit of trouble, out in Magna, and can't say we always had the best help legally, advice legally. So it was kind of his goal to, if anybody, in our community ever got and maybe in some trouble, that he would lend a helping hand, which he's still doing today. And he's helped a lot of my family as well. So thank you, Lance. So it's just funny, right? Who we grow up with, how we affect other people, but those ties are always there.
That's the village, right?
That's the village. Kind of like what you just. That's why I love this whole podcast, because for you to think that you're created without everyone around you. And I remember my dad specifically always getting up at a fast and testimony meeting that they'd have at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They'd have a testimony meeting, and he'd always get up and thank the congregation for helping raise his 9 kids.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd sit there like looking at it like, ain't nobody here to raise us. But as I grow up to be a parent now with kids, I can understand the importance of your surroundings, your friends, your neighbors, your teachers, because we know that our parents work so hard day in, day out just to give us a better life coming to this country, that they understood the value of having good people around us. So
yeah. I'm and then also, I guess culturally, for Tongans and all Polynesians, when we use the word village, it doesn't only mean like our community of Magna or community of Salt Lake. It also means like our ward village.
Absolutely.
It also means our first cousins, like you're talking about, like hundreds of first cousins. And that can be your village as well, So it's not just, like only talking about, the village of Magna, but yeah, whether it's family, whether it's the Ward family, it's still family, but
Yeah, I got it.
it's all,
Along with my mom and dad, my aunt spanked me.
Yep. Talk
when we
about
didn't
that growing
when we
up.
didn't do the soke training ride or the haka or hey, grab the stick. Well, hey, what the part of soke is this? Nah, just kidding.
Right.
But yeah, our aunt and our uncle and the parents looked at it as very important that if they weren't there, there was another adult to discipline us, hopefully, and hold us accountable for our actions. And that's something I still believe in till today. I know we learn and we become better and try to do things in a better way. But I'm very thankful for the way I was raised.
Right.
I don't think millennials nowadays are very talented in their own way and bring a lot to the table. But I'm also thankful for the old school training and the way that I was raised, because I feel there's values and things there that could be lost.
Right.
Seems so simple, but it can go a long ways.
Dang, that's awesome. I know you mentioned that you have a lot of siblings. Was 8 or 9?
9.
Yeah, and so where do you lie, or where are you in
So
between
5
that?
boys, four girls, and I'm number 3.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Dang, and all of them are here in Utah?
Yep.
All your siblings?
All born and raised in Utah. Me and a sister lived in, and actually a brother lived in California for a bit.
Okay.
I think like 5 years, but now we're back here in
Gotcha.
Utah. Yep.
Cool, man. I guess you already touched on, growing up in Magna and, with that experience on the bus being called the N-word. Were there ever times or situations growing up where you felt maybe not tonguing enough or too tonguing?
Oh, dude, I was the Palangi in my family.
Oh, yeah?
Everybody called me Palangi or because I wasn't tonguing enough, right?
Right.
I remember, I mean, it's the little things. One time my brother's just sitting there. It's such a dumb story, but some of my brother's sitting there with his cousins. And I specifically remembering him, my older brother, Hilman Teko, leaning over to my cousin and saying, see, look at him. He doesn't even eat his watermelon seeds. I'm all, what the? Because I'd spit out my watermelon seeds. But
Right.
yeah, there's plenty of, and I heard even Sifa when he was on,
Yeah.
same thing, not allowed in the girls' room.
Right.
Girls don't come in the boys' room. There's just things you didn't do. You don't open up your leg. Don't lift your legs up on the couch.
Oh, yeah.
Don't ever come in the house with your shoes on unless you want to get hit with it. But I mean, yeah, there's plenty of things where I wish I could speak the language better,
Right.
but I've been able to pick up a little bit as I gotten older. So
Yeah. Do you ever, now that you're, I guess, older, you ever ask your parents, like, why did you guys do this? Or why didn't you do that? In terms of the culture things, like, oh, why didn't you guys teach me the language? Or why weren't we able to go in the girls' rooms? Or you just kind of, now that you look back, like, oh, it is what it is.
well, because my dad was so strong with the churches of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, he taught us a lot of the gospel stories. And one that was kind of instilled in us really hard was when Adam built the altar to worship the Lord, not knowing why he built the altar, but he built the altar.
So the
And I
same
don't
for the
know
kids.
why that story was shared with us, but I always felt that you don't ask, you just do. You know what I mean?
Right.
So no, I'd never really asked, especially growing up. But now that you bring that up, yeah, sometimes I would ask, like, was it really that serious? And I don't know if this was really Tongan culture. I think it was more also with the LDS culture. Like,
Right.
we couldn't even watch TV. I mean, my friends still, like, they still remember me. I'd sneak over there on Sundays just so I could at least the NFL playoffs. I mean, come on, I couldn't like wait not to see NFL playoffs or
Not
Super
even a
Bowl.
Super Bowl, right?
I'd have to sneak out and go watch it at a friend's house. We couldn't even play on Sunday. So one time I saw my dad before he had passed jumping on the trampoline with my brother's kids. And I called all my siblings, like, hey, I see dad jumping on the trampoline. And it was a Sunday.
Right.
And we were like tripping out. We were like, what the heck? So things we couldn't do, I would say it was probably more with, I don't know if they took some of the teachings a little hardcore, but once again, it is what it is. and it was instilled with us with early morning prayers, early morning scripture reading. I think the biggest one I would say, as far as Tongan culture, is just don't ever ruin your family name.
Yeah.
I think that was a big one. So I remember I'd get in fights in school, and I'd come back and I'd get beat up by my older brother because he'd find out through some of the other school kids that, oh, Elone was fighting again at school, you know. I'd get beat up by him just because he didn't want me to do anything to ruin the family name. So
Right.
I think that was kind of a big thing with the Tongans.
That's I guess one of the reasons on my podcast as well, I ask people about their names, because names is important in our culture, not ruining your
Absolutely.
name. And so for you to know who your name is, who you're named after, or where your name comes from, and just the meaning of your name, because that's the name you carry,
Oh yeah.
and then
I'm so
especially,
I'm so proud of sorry to interrupt.
yeah,
I'm
go.
so proud of my middle name. Like if anybody ever hears my grandpa Teiko, like he was just, and I know everyone says this about their grandparents, so good on them, they should. But man, my grandpa was amazing. I mean, he was always had a smile on his face, always willing, and I'm sure just like all the other OG grandpas, willing to serve, help, which my dad ended up doing a lot through him being a mechanic, helping, serve. And I remember going on early morning Saturday trips with him all the time, mechanic trips to go fix people's car. I couldn't even tell you how many people that we would start fixing their car and they would come out like after an hour or a half an hour, we would have already been there working on their car, and they'd be like, "Oh, I didn't even know you were here." Like my dad would just go do these things. And so when you talk about like things that we were taught, the way we were raised, I think the reason why it stuck more, especially with me and my brothers and sisters, is because they lived it. So they didn't always tell you, "Hey, shh, don't kaipo, don't eat by yourself," or "Tokoni." Like we'd always hear "Tokoni, shh, hey,
Right.
did they eat? Did you eat before they ate?" Like all those things. But then when you see them live it and do it, you're almost like, okay. So then it was always something to kind of follow. You know what I mean? So those things, those lessons are still big to me today. And when I feel like sometimes, if I'm not too busy or maybe can't do something, I just kind of ask yourself like, well, maybe what would dad do here in the
Right.
situation? And you kind of, like you said, I carry the name, probably better rise to the occasion. So
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's, one of the reasons why I ask, people about their names, because that's something important, as Polynesians, and that's how you identify, like, oh, well, I guess, also with your parents, you're like, oh, who's your parents? So, like, what's his last name? That's how they identify, or that's how we like, okay, that's how we try to, make connections.
right,
And so,
it's crazy how they all know each other too.
yeah. But just like going back to what you said earlier too, you said that you guys were one of the first ones to move to the avenues, and then you guys also like helped, like all the others coming in, and it was like a community feel,
Oh yeah.
because I guess that's the connection, or whether it's from Tonga, I don't know, but I think that's cool,
Oh yeah.
growing up with those connections. But um, well, I guess just on the topic of your parents, I guess we didn't mention your parents' names. Go ahead and
Oh, sorry.
mention your
So,
parents. Yeah.
Hilimani Teiko Fonua, Hiliman Teiko Fonua was my dad, and then my mom, Lolohea La Tuha, and
Gotcha.
then
And so
that
she's a
maiden
Tuha, yeah,
name
her maiden.
Fonua.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's cool. I guess just going, just a random thought. Are you related to the Fonua that played at LSU this past season?
I don't think so,
Oh, okay.
but yeah, I
Are there
did.
different branches of the Fonua name, I
Yeah,
guess?
there's actually, from what I understand, there's 3 Fonuas,
Okay.
so could be one of them. I don't want to be that one and
That's my
heck of
cousin.
myself. That's my cousin, but for real, that's my cousin. No, just kidding. Nah, y'all keep balling out at LSU. We see you guys.
Yes, sir. Um, I guess being born and raised here in the States and going to school and being part of, the community here in Utah and the American culture, being born and raised in the American culture, but also at home being part of the Tongan culture because your parents, instilled in you guys, the Tongan culture. Was it hard to find your identity, or as, you know, trying to navigate your identity growing up with the two cultures being around, or was that something fairly easy for you?
I think for at least uh, Polynesian boys as a whole, like not just Tongan, but even the Tongan as well. I think our physical nature um, made it easy to be accepted by American culture because of their love for football. And as any, probably any people, their love for any kind of sports or gladiator type sports, there's just that everybody wants that like that action. So with us being to play football maybe and show that maybe we're willing to do things that the regular kid wouldn't do. Like I always remember I literally was never I don't think I was ever scared ever playing football just because I felt that getting whooped by my parents, especially
Was
my
worse.
uncle, was way worse.
Right.
Way worse. Like football was easy. I remember one of my coaches, no, you're never scared. I was like, more scared of the belt coach, and he'd laugh, and I'm like, I'm not laughing.
Right. This is serious.
But once again, hey, it is what it is. You know, I remember getting the Superman treatment across the living room. I deserved it. I can tell you that. But yeah, thankful, and I think that helped a lot to get accepted as far as identity wise was on the field. You know, was just playing the sports. I can't really say if I didn't play sports. I don't know, but I can see that a lot of Tongans are making. So I don't even really want to even say it was maybe the community you're raised in. I'd say that kind of your upbringing and how you make the best out of your situation. Like my other cousin Tony Finau, and see he's a cousin, right? Tony, he's a Fonua. But anyways, he coming out of Rose Park. Look at him, one of the top golfers in the world right now.
Right.
And then you got other family members that maybe, you know, a block or two from each other, caught up and had to spend time at the point. You know, the point is what we call the
Point of the
prison
mountain,
over
yeah.
here, Point of Mountain. But yeah, I mean, there's man. So I guess some get accepted for different ways, and others probably not so much. So
Gotcha.
and people can look up gang. I mean, they did a story on
Right.
Salt Lake or in Rose Park, especially on Tongan Crip gangsters. I mean, I'm not trying to say it's the most notorious and scary game, but we all knew about it
Right.
growing up, so it was different. But sometimes it hurt because we'd have families fighting families,
Right.
so you just never knew. Like, oh man, like my mom's side over here and my dad's side here. It's like,
Yeah.
what are you guys doing? But
Were you guys ever tempted, or were you guys ever part of it, or was it easy to stay away from like that gang side of it? I guess
I don't know. It's just kind of normal, to be honest.
it's just family, right?
Well,
When
like
you look
even
at it.
family activities, we'd be up somewhere, like even at we'd go skating, roller skating as family, and I just see my cousin tagging up TC everywhere. To me, I was just like, okay,
Yeah.
Tongue Crip. You know what I mean? I didn't see it as a structured like mafia type
Right.
style. I think it was more of a guys got together and
It's the boys, yeah.
yeah, it sometimes led to bad situations, and it I don't know, I don't know if it was easier or not. I just hung around because they were my family.
Gotcha. Your parents must have been busy, huh? Raising five boys. Was he said five boys?
Yeah.
So the five of you guys were all growing up. Um, so I guess for being born and raised, in the Tongan culture, what are some things that you're proud to be Tongan, or what makes you proud to be Tongan?
Um, I would have to say family rich. Like when people like say, "Man, I'm wealthy." I'm sure there's a lot of people that can say they're wealthy. Can't say I'm wealthy. I'm not. But as far as rich and family, like I'll have friends all the time that'll be like, "Man, you have a family and everything. A family that does doors, family that's in this or that." I think more so we all kind of watch out for each other,
Mhm.
and we always want to help one another and support one another. So I found that even kind of trying to get out on our own and maybe try to break some barriers as far as trying to start a business, I felt that family support, and I've been very grateful for it. Because I think they all kind of know, like, hey, at least he's trying. Like we always hear the term "fang up there," huh?
Right.
Like we try to don't get too prideful, but then also don't want to get too low. So we just say "fang up there," which is I've learned also in the sales world that you always want to stay even kill. You're gonna have highs, you're gonna have lows, but if you stay even kill, things usually work out
That's cool.
for the good. So
Yeah. I guess with the way that you're living your life now and the person that you've become, you think your grandpa would be proud of you and for the sacrifice he made to move from Tonga?
man, I hope so. I hope so. I I think a lot about if my own dad would be proud, and man, I really hope he would be. It's for those that don't know, I'm involved in the cannabis industry, and it can kind of have its twofold, because so much of my family are LDS, and the stigma they have of cannabis or marijuana, you know, um, is the same as I had. Maybe the person I saw on the couch that didn't do anything with their life, and I didn't want to be associated with that, or at least what I thought of it was just stoned, nothing productive, and I think if we still have that same mentality and think that's what it is, then which to some it is, there you can abuse anything. But the last 5 years I've been living in California, I think I'd have to say my eyes were opened as far as beautiful functioning families, successful businessmen running their businesses, uh, being pro cannabis, marijuana, which to me, when they first told me about it, and I hope I don't go on off a tangent.
No,
So
go
just
for it. Yeah.
yeah, cut me off if the time is too long.
No worries.
But legit, I was diagnosed with chronic gout, and my medical records are well documented how bad it was. And when it went past my foot to my knee, I was like limping really bad. And all my customers in California would be like, "You should go look into this CBD. It fights inflammation." I'm like, "Oh, great. What is that?" And they're like, cannabis. And I'm like marijuana? And they're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh no, I'm Mormon. I can't touch that,"
Right.
And yeah, I think after 3 years living there, and the gout got very bad, meaning it got to my hand, and when my hand blew up like a boxing glove, I said, I was like, pretty much that's enough. I told my wife, "Hey, I'm not taking opiates anymore. I'm not taking those green pills, indomethacin.
Right.
I'm tired. I'm gonna try the CBD and see if it really works." And I think after 9 months, so the first 3 weeks, Ita, man, would not talk to me. Was not happy with that decision. But after 9 months, still no gout, and you're talking to someone I used to get it every quarter,
Right.
not every other month, every quarter, like clockwork. And my wife knew too. She'd go grab the crutches were in the closet. She knew the drill. Crutches from the closet, put it. Don't use the heavy blanket because even the sheet on my toe
Right.
hurts. Ow! Not just kidding,
How long would that sideline you for? These
A
bouts of gout?
couple days, and the
Like up to
the
a
worst
week or
episode
something?
was 2 weeks.
Dang.
So at one point it got very bad that they even had to operate on my knee to remove the gouty
The fluid?
tophi.
Oh, okay.
No, actual crystallized
Right.
that got inside the joints that they had to remove because my knee was locking up. It's actually the same doctor that worked on Tiger Woods' knee up in Park City. Worked on my knee.
Yeah.
So I get to brag about it, but I don't want to
Nice.
brag that it was gout. But yeah, long story short, it subsided like 9 months, and we're looking at each other like, "Hey, nothing changed, but it's working."
Right.
So it's just funny the way the past, how they lead you, because a year and 7 months, probably almost a year and 8 months, still no gout, and now I've launched my own CBD company called Power Plant CBD, and it's something that I think I had to go through that in my life for me to be actually even open to it, to even give it a year, give it a chance. Because I'm telling you, I was probably the most judgmental person on that. not only as a returned missionary and still active LDS member, but I was very judgmental. We'll just say that.
Yeah.
I didn't ever try to listen or hear why that might be good. I didn't hear any of that. I didn't know any of that. So it wasn't until what it did to me when it healed me, I defend it. CBD and THC. I'm pro both. So I'm pro cannabis and marijuana, and I'm happy that even the state of Utah, on the March 1st of this year, just opened its first dispensary, and now you can get your medicinal card here in the state of Utah. So it's a new time, and we're excited. We have our hemp license here, so we're hemp Utah Hemp Farms LLC, and so far we're kind of excited because we see all the products that we can bring about. Are we trying to
Go for it.
own the world and own the whole CBD? No, but I think there's sun for everyone. So I've chosen this industry to be in, and along with a couple others. But I mean, I've chosen to be in this industry. All my siblings know, my family knows, and we're now manufacturing our own CBD water here in North Salt Lake, Power Plant CBD. So our website is sorry, a little
Go
promo
for it.
for our website.
Yeah, no, this is what it's
I'm just
about. Go
kidding.
for it. Where can
No,
people
but-
find you?
drinkcbdwater.com.
drinkcbdwater.com.
Yeah, and then you can also find all of our products in the Good Earth grocery stores
Okay.
here in Utah, and then also in a few of the Vasa gyms. So, yeah,
And
it's
then,
been a fun ride.
What are your social media platforms? Do you have any for the CBD?
Yeah, so powerplant_CBD, and then my own personal one is just CBD Muscle. But I just like to, when anyone ever asks me,
Yeah.
as far as if they've had inflammation related issues, I just tell them kind of what it's done for me. I don't sit there and say like it'll do this, that, and the other. If it doesn't work for you, I'm sorry, but I can tell you what it's done for me, and I'll tell you right now, Mavel, it's we provide for a lot of family members and friends that I would have never guessed would ever touch cannabis, and to see them get some relief, and you'll see these testimonials come out. But I mean, I'll tell you one, a nurse with fibromyalgia, and it's helped her with her hand pain. We have one of my good friends, owner of a company, but he had just recently had a divorce with his family. He was hooked on opiates, and yeah, things weren't good for him, and now this has helped him so that he can kick that and kind of like build his life up again. So I mean, these are real life stories that I'm witnessing
Right.
from a plant that I used to be so judgmental about, but now I can see it's helping a lot of people, So I'm not saying it'll help everyone, but for those that probably are in a lot of pain, both physically and mentally, which I feel with our people, that's a topic that we don't discuss too much. I don't know
Nearly
why
enough.
we don't talk about mental health, but I feel that I have issues. I feel that all Tongan men, 90%,
Right.
maybe a little higher. Because why did we adopt the Itavave culture? Like, oh, that's okay. Why? Like,
Right.
that's not okay. It's not okay. Those that don't know Tongan, Itavave means get mad fast. And we used to literally label. I remember labeling family members. Oh, like if somebody said he fights a lot. Oh yeah, he's Itavave. That's why. Like it was normal,
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. He just passed it off as, just another, he has the flu or he is sick, just like, yeah.
And I don't think that's, I can tell you right now, there's a lot of my uncles need to drink our water or they need some chill out,
Right.
like not saying everybody, but I think it could help a lot of people. All I know is as far as my brothers that are limping, the G unit, that
Yeah.
text thread that you're on, whoever has those green pills, I think there's something else that could help, that's natural. And I'm not saying that there's not a place for the opiates. I think there's a place and a time for everything, depending on the emergency of whatever the situation may be. But
Right.
you need something to fight inflammation. I think this has helped as it's helped me, right? So
Yeah. That's cool. I guess for you, that turning point, when you're like, I had enough of taking these green pills. Were there other choices that you had, or you just like CBD was in front of you and that's the choice that you went with.
Yeah, it was making too much noise around me.
Gotcha.
Meaning, you know, the news, politics, uh, dispensaries popping up. It was kind of like people were talking about it. And anybody that's had gout, like it's not just the green pills. We know all the pills. I mean, there's colchicine, there's indomethacin, IB 800s work. Sometimes there's a little myth out there that those blue Advil pills
Right.
will actually help. So, I mean, your body is so smart and adaptable that you could have a tolerance for one of those gout pills real quick, and the next time you take it, it won't have that effect to get rid of the gout. So you start asking your other brethren that are that have gout, hey, which one do you currently use? I mean, that's how it was. Like,
Yep.
oh, I got to try that white colchicine then, or I got to try the green indomethacin, or it was yeah, that was a battle with that. But I mean, there's different things. I don't that's a tough one.
Yeah. And so this business that you're in, the CBD business, are you in it as the lone person, or is there someone else in there with you,
Oh yeah,
like a co-owner or
absolutely.
okay
I have partners
partner?
uh,
Sorry, yeah.
in Humboldt County. The guys that originally showed me that CBD could be in a water. So since I was in California doing solar, it led me up north. I had family members that obviously are in the farm and they work on the farms, some farms up there. So they led me, they referred over some solar business. And then me always trying to be on the safe side. I was like, no, I can't touch THC, but let me give CBD a try, right? So everybody would give me CBD honey, CBD cream, CBD, and then somebody told me about CBD water. And I was just like water, like tastes like water, and they're like, yeah, where? And sure enough, I went and found these two cats that do it, Tim and Jeremy, and they're freaking probably two of the best hearted, good hearted guys I know. And yeah, started drinking their water, and I was just blown away that it wasn't even available in San Francisco. I was just like, how is your water not available everywhere? Do you know how many people are suffering that could drink that could use this water? And water, which is good because when we first came over here and got our hemp license, um, I remember sitting down with a law firm group of the farmers saying, why are you trying to get our farmer to grow cannabis? I was like, well, first off, it's hemp, and these are the reasons why. So we had like a jar of gummies, a tincture bottle, our gallon of water. So they were able to see these images of actual products versus just the joint.
Right.
So you can see the desire to even research or learn more about it. It wasn't there because I didn't have that, so I could kind of relate, understand, because once again, I'm LDS.
Yeah.
I can relate to what you guys are thinking, but there's actual products here that could help people, and that was the water. So yeah, those guys are partners. Obviously, we've made good partnerships with plenty of guys here that and they all know who they are that have helped in one way or another. Sifu with our clothing brand, even Solo, Stony that's helped, my cousin Jay. And once again, when I go back to saying the family support, I'd have to say that was incredible because when we first sent our first pallet or two pallets here to Utah of water, to tell Tongan people that probably not everyone has already low on funds, and then now you want them to pick up like a $24 gallon of CBD water. I was like, dude,
Right.
what is that? Magic water? But the funny thing is with my family, and I think with others, is I think they've all heard of this vai tonga,
Right.
which was made from actual plants,
Leaves.
which
Yeah.
is funny because my grandpa used to make this vai tonga, and I remember my dad grabbing, it was like purplish color, something. But I remember thinking it was juice and taking a sip of it. Oh, it was so disgusting. So disgusting. I asked my dad, what the heck is that? And he's like, it's medicine water. It helps you feel better. And that's all I remember from it.
Yeah.
but I know my grandpa was making. So it's just funny that now I'm making
Basically,
water as well out of plants. So.
Gotcha. I guess just for those who don't know, is there a difference between cannabis and hemp?
Absolutely, yeah.
And can you describe what the?
Yeah, and I'd also want people to Google it and look it up,
Okay.
just like I did.
Right.
But hemp, you'll also see that it's just a stalk, a little bit taller. Cannabis grows a little bit more wide, and cannabis, remember, you're letting it flower, meaning there's buds. Where me, even with my mind that didn't even understand what cannabis or marijuana was, we would just remember those Bob Marley shirts with the leaf.
Yeah.
And I thought that was marijuana. Like, still, I literally thought that was marijuana. I'd always see that, like a Bob Marley shirt with that marijuana leaf. That's not even marijuana. It's the bud
Yeah.
that's actually in there. So that would probably be the biggest difference where I can explain to people. And I know that they'll see it here in Utah, especially with the hemp farms going up everywhere. And then also the few that were chosen with cannabis license, which one was a fellow Tongan, Tony Vainuku.
Okay.
So he got one of the cannabis licenses, but you can see the difference. People that don't want to know or don't learn, you could that don't know anything. You could get confused if you don't know, but
Right.
if you see it, you'll know the
You'll
difference
know.
between hemp and cannabis flower.
Gotcha.
So
That's cool, man. That because Utah's fairly new in this industry, the cannabis industry, and that you are already in it, and that you already, as a Tongan, a business owner on that side of things. I think that's cool. And then I understand you have other businesses as well, and I guess another one of them is Kaikifiu.
oh yeah,
Can you talk about that? Where you got the name from and how it all started?
well, me and my brother Stoney started that. So Kaikifiu, we it's just kind of like we all heard it, right? As first generation Tongans, Kaikifiu, whether at the breakfast table or the lunch table or at dinner table, especially, which
The
meant finish your
buffet.
food. But really, we understood that it meant don't waste that food.
Yep.
Like, you better eat your food. And it still even is with me even today. Like, if I go out to eat, even with a friend, be it Tongan or Balangi, if I see a piece on there, like a good piece of food, I'm like, hey, don't waste that food.
You gonna eat that?
A lot of times they'll be like, eat it. And they'll be surprised that I don't care.
Right.
I'll eat it. So that's how it was all started. We were working out and I just remember him. I don't know if I was being a little bit lazy during that workout, but he was like, "Got a few," and I was like, "Oh man, really?" Like, we all know what that means. I'm not leaving anything on the table. So yeah, it went hard, and we were both getting ready for like a muscle competition. And my trainer said I wasn't ready, but Stoney ended up still being ready for it. But I printed out the first Geica Few hat and I gave it to him there. And, we just looked at each other. We kind of knew, like, hey, maybe we could use this to motivate and help people in our family. Really, that's how it started. Never in it for the dollar. We didn't know that the family would support like it has. And man, we thank everyone. I mean, it's been huge. Sifa's helped us a lot with our brand. I think he met some of our family through like a race or something. I don't do those crazy races,
Yeah.
but there's some of my family, Mo, Twig, and Swap It, and they do this race. And I guess they met Sifa, and Stoney was telling me, he's like, yeah, there's a couple ideas that could help us out. So that's been a good relationship there, and been very appreciative for his help, because now not only when you want to bring like a dream or an idea to fruition, but to give it in quality form, right? Presentation. So I mean, it's we feel it's just as like C4 Designs quality. People are getting their dollars worth. They feel a connection to it. We've gotten so many messages from parents that have been like, shown us that maybe at a restaurant where you could write on the wall and their kid wrote Geica Few, or on their homework paper they'll write Geica Few, and we get these pictures and the parents will tell us, man, we never thought about this, but what's crazy is the only Tongan words our kids know is Geica Few. And now they're saying it. And so I always knew that we didn't really have to put a lot behind marketing, at least to our people, because the first
They
generation
know.
people, it
Right.
was just kind of already there, and we kind of knew what it meant. And so that's kind of everything with our brand is kind of around that is, like closed mouths don't get fed. Like that's how we were raised, right?
Right.
You want something, go
Better
work.
say something. Yeah, go
Exactly.
get it. Yep.
So that's kind of how that all started, and it's been awesome. We do one event with Red Bull 400 up there in Park City, where we're able to get a couple heats, and we go up this 400-meter, like right up this mountain, the ski slope.
Right?
Yeah, and it's tough, and that helped build the brand too, because everyone kind of felt the energy, knew what we were about, and it was, if we can lift people up higher and be better. And I hope us saying like so many this and that and positives about us, like just doesn't look like we're boastful or
Right.
that we're mistake free, because that's one thing I've always wanted to make sure that everyone knows, that we're full of mistakes. We're not perfect by no means, but we do try to be better, try to help out, and if we can help make a difference, or if there's any, like we always tell people, reach out. If there's anything we can do, we're willing to help. But we're
And
not perfect.
I'm glad you brought that up. That's something that as Polynesians we need to hear. That there's times where it's a good thing, that we talk about ourselves, or that other people can see the things that we've done, what we've accomplished. And for others, I guess some people can look at it as bragging, but you know just like you said, it's it comes with the territory as well. But I know you spoke of the relationship that you have with Sifa. I know you have other relationships, your partners in business with in the cannabis and CBD. And I just wanted you to speak on the importance, or maybe for you, just your thoughts and ideas on networking and how that has helped you, or if you have any tips for people, still trying to network.
um, yeah, I would say people have a good sense if you're real or full of shit. Sorry, I
Go for
hope
it.
I don't mean to
No, it's fine. Yeah.
cuss, but yeah, I think people kind of know, like they'll feel it in their gut. Like if you care, they'll know, but if you don't, they'll know. You know what I mean? And think in my life, I've made, like I said, plenty of mistakes where, man, I might have burnt the bridge on that one. I can't ever, regain that relationship, or so I'd say more from learning. But I think networking was kind of something always, I don't want to say easy for me, but I saw my dad do a lot of what do they call that when you trade work for work?
Barter or
Bartering,
something.
right?
Yeah.
I remember my dad
Work
fixing
for
our
work.
neighbor's car so my sisters could get piano lessons, like literally
Right.
like that. I remember my dad fixing a Tongan guy's vehicle, but he worked at a laundry detergent company, and we had like 10 big containers of laundry detergent. So there was always, I
A
think,
trade. Yeah.
so by an early age, I kind of knew, like in my mind, I always thought like, what can I do to bring him? What can I do to help him that I could bring value to as well? You know what I mean? So, and then obviously, the more I got into the sales industry, I kind of like the big one for me that still stuck with me is everybody's radio station that they're tuned into at all times, WIIFM. What's in it for me? So I always, regardless of whatever relationship, or be it Sifa, be it you, be it anyone I meet, I always try to think like Mavel. So what's in it for him? Like, so that helps me think like, so what can I do, like value? Because I've always found that when I've done that, I've always felt that it's always came back, like I want to say 100-fold. Like I've literally been blessed with those that I've thought that way with, and next thing you know, they're always, oh yeah, hey, I got this for you, I have that, and I'm like, dude, like I don't like to get out gifted, and there, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's been huge. And yeah, my wife laughs about that too, because I'll meet people. Oh yeah, I know somebody. Oh, I know. So sometimes my brothers and sisters will ask me, "Well, did you ask Elone if you knows anybody?" But I think that's very valuable. Like your Rolodex, right?
Yeah.
your people of your first initial bubble that you can talk to, that you can always call on. So
That's cool, man. And it just goes back to, your upbringing, seeing your dad, being able to do that. And then now that you're an adult and, trying to navigate your way in this business world, for you to, remember the things that he did, and for you to like, like, oh, what would your dad do, or what,
yeah.
remembering those lessons. That's kind of cool. Um, I guess, has fitness always been, you guys always been into fitness? To, for you guys starting the Kaikifu, I guess?
Yeah. Like if you so for my fitness journey started way right when I got into high school. Another OG, Sia Pope, Tongan, was one of the teachers and coaches, which I was fortunate. That's why I think about when I grew up in Magna. I mean, he was out there by the time I got to high school. So he didn't allow any breaks, any being lazy, especially in the gym. So I think that's what kind of kickstarted my whole fitness journey. And then it's just kind of stuck with me all throughout. I mean, went on my mission in Dominican Republic, worked out there, came back, still worked
That's
out.
cool.
And even my cousin Stoney, I think the competition from even family reunions, like, racing, uh, games, was kind of instilled in that Fonua. Anybody that went to a Fonua reunion knows,
Yeah.
like, everybody races or everybody plays, everybody competes. And I think, I mean, we've heard it, right? Derek Jeter doesn't allow complacency. So,
Right. And then I guess for you, um, getting into like your different areas of expertise or business and stuff, is it important to keep like-minded people around you to keep you
shoots.
motivated, to keep you, elevated?
I think everyone has their talents and their time that you know you need to be with them. Kind of related, maybe kind of related to my kids, as far as my wife will give them the cuddle time and the little love that they need. That I'm more gonna be like the boss, discipline, like tell them like, no, there's consequences, you have to pay for that. And I feel like even so in my life, sometimes I'll need someone that I could that's my family. I feel very comfortable. I can sit and have a, nice conversation, learn. And then I'm also thankful for my relationships in the business world that make me very uncomfortable, because as uh uncomfortable as it makes, I know it's at least pushing towards progress.
Right.
So probably answer your question. Yeah, like-minded, but also people that might be a little, somebody that can kind of raise your game, and then others kind of like what we've heard from a lot of other people, others maybe you can help,
Yeah.
you know.
Nice. Um, I guess for you, what inspires you, or who inspires you?
Um I would have to say probably my dad. Yeah. My dad inspires me because when I think about 9 kids and you know, the way he lived his life, it was I don't know if I would have had the strength to do some of the things he did. Um so just when my dad passed away, I think he was when we took him to the hospital, it was already stage 4, and he passed away the next week, you know.
Wow.
And then but the week before that he was pulling an engine out of a car. So I think I think like, man, that's a different generation. That's a different, like, we're first generation Americans, but man, that was a special breed. That's a special generation that brought us over here,
Right.
because and I'd hear from my cousins, man, your dad looks mad. Like, is your dad mad? I was like, no, he's not mad. But when we found out he had stage 4 cancer, kind of made sense. It kind of made sense that, man, he was hurting. Like, because the doctor was like, no, he's had it for a while. This didn't just happen
Stage
overnight.
4,
This
right?
was years of of your dad having cancer. So when I think about him passing away, and like literally like a week before that, pulling an engine out of a car, I think about that sacrifice. So when I know that things might be a little bit too hard, I just try to do my best. And I know my brothers and sisters, and we all help each other. So you know, um, I'm forever grateful. And that's one thing that I'll always remember. One time, my brother-in-law was telling me he's president of an insurance company,
Mm-hmm.
and he was showing me on this graph about the communities that pass generational wealth to the next generation. And he was like comparing. He's saying that the Jewish community are on the top, see, because they can keep passing on wealth to the next generation, next generation. And he was like, so you guys probably down here with on this chart, he had the African population on the bottom. I was just thinking about that, and I was like, man, that sucks. I hope we can at least get up to that where the other communities are at. And I remember looking at this chart when I was at home, and I just saw generation, 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 generation line. I was like, wait, hey, hold up a sec. So I called him back up. I was like, hey, this graph is bullcrap. And he's like, what do you mean? It's like, no, it's not. It's studies from insurance companies that put it all together. I'm like, bro, I'm first generation Tongan American. Like, I'm not even on this. I shouldn't even be on this list. Give us a couple generations. Let us see what we can do.
Exactly.
So to see like some of the stories like Haloti and Tony Finau, and hey, even the mistakes, like even some of my cousins that the JJ Fonua made a, uh, they robbed banks. This is my family. But to see where he's at now as a grandpa and being successful in business, he's part of our CBD business. I mean, we learn just as much from those that are doing very well as those that have made mistakes as well, huh? Sometimes that we
Right.
think, at least in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we're like, yeah, be forgiven for that, forgiven for that. We forget the atonement's for everyone. You know what I mean? We can learn from everyone, and that's another thing. I've never had a better business partner than my cousin JJ. Like, he's just, it is what it is. If he says it that way, then
It's that
and he
way.
comes through with his word, and that's, your word goes a long ways too in business world. So I don't want to just say all those that have done great in the eyes of man. I'm saying all those that have made it from down there, and now they're just doing something. His house is almost paid off. Like, how many people can say that?
Right.
And this is from a guy that has been locked up for how many years? So I mean, the example's there for everyone. It's what you choose to see. If you can,
Right.
and I think there's so much good in everyone. If you can see they're bad, you can see they're good. Just whatever you do, whatever you decide.
Wow. And I guess just going off of that point, what can we as Polynesians offer the world? What can the world
Man,
learn from us as Polynesians?
um, I I used to manage teams that used to go door to door, and I'd have Palangi reps, American reps, African reps, Polynesians, and there was just some that Americans that wouldn't want to be in the ghetto, and then there were some of my African reps didn't want to be in suburbs
Right.
where maybe there was a little bit more racism. But one thing with my Polynesian reps, like at least my brothers, I could put them in any area, and we were accepted. We were loved. I think so. Being accepted, knowing that people that have gotten to know the Polynesian culture and feel that love, I would say leave them with that same love. Let's not budge it up.
Yeah.
Like, come on. And I'm one of them that have made mistakes and messed it up. And we live and we learn. But I would just say let them, the same love that they feel, just leave them with that. Leave them better, right? And we always hear that, but I say leave them better, and if not, then just leave them alone. You're not gonna get anything from tearing people down. I've done torn people down. People have torn me down. I don't think we've learned or gotten better. Every time we uplift people, it seems like we're uplifted. So whatever. I hope I'm not
Oh,
preaching.
that's perfect.
There's a lot for me to learn. So
Yeah. Um. So besides the kake food, are you into other businesses? I mean, business with Kaikifu and the CBD.
Yeah, so we did decide to do like a little energy shot with Kaikifu.
Okay.
We decided to push products that anything that would help make it easier for those that are trying to be active. So even a little massage gun maybe. And we
I saw
found
that.
that kids that have gotten that for their parents or grandparents, because we hear all the time, "Hey, come foot on my feet,"
Right.
like come massage my feet. And now they can do it with the massage gun. So we've just thought of little things that we can add that have helped, and those little things have helped. Part of a little company called Proto Shop, because I decided to. Keto's been a blessing in my life, the keto diet. So any company that's kind of like that promotes a ketogenic lifestyle, low carb lifestyle, I've decided to partner up with some of those companies. So we do have one Proto Shop where we do keto donuts. Like who doesn't love a donut, right?
Right. That's
So
cool. Keto
yeah,
donut.
so we had keto donuts, and amazing flavors. The Danny Augustine and his mom, she's a master baker from Poland. So for them to be able to concoct that much protein in a donut kind of baffled me.
Right.
So,
How many grams
well,
of
depending on the
protein?
donut, but you can get up to 23 grams of protein on one
Wow.
donut.
That's a scoop of protein,
No added sugar and all natural ingredients. So in the keto diet, you learn to read nutrition facts.
Right.
So when I saw this donut at the gym, I read the nutrition facts. I didn't believe it because I'm like, no, because one of those donuts would be equivalent to 7 Krispy Kreme glazed donuts. I knew these numbers and
Right.
I'm like, you never want to do the work because I'm very lazy. Like people are like, oh, you like to work out? No, I'm actually lazy. Like you don't want to eat that. It's not that I don't want to eat that. I don't want to work it off. I don't want, you know what I mean? So, but to know I can eat one of these donuts where you'd have to eat. So these Pro Dough donuts, you literally have to eat 5 of those to equal the same amount of sugar in one original glazed Krispy Kreme donut.
Wow.
So when we learn our numbers, when we learn how bad sugar and carbs are really for you, and I can say that because I was addicted to sugar and carbs. So when start learning those things, I mean, would you rather just satisfy your craving and get good nutrients from one donut, or would you rather eat 5 and bury yourself? I mean, it's just not it's a losing battle.
Right.
So I try to choose foods that I know that will come off of me. And the reason why I chose the keto diet was because I'll never stop eating lupulu and ota. And those two foods are full of fat.
Right.
So full of fat.
Straight up.
So you cannot do any other diets that allows that much fat. And I'll always eat those two foods. So it's worked out great for me, and it's worked out great for a lot of people. And I lost about 75 pounds just from the keto
Wow.
diet, and I've eaten more than before. But important note, I don't push keto on anyone unless they ask me. Like I tell them, even my sister, she's vegan. So I say, hey, do what works for you and your lifestyle. Don't adopt anybody else's lifestyle that and I'm telling you, like no one will ever get me to stop eating ota. So it works for my lifestyle.
Right.
But I tell anybody, do what works for your lifestyle. Be a vegan, paleo, whatever. If you are vegan, if you have extra meat, I'll pick it up because the keto diet allows meat.
Right. Man, that's crazy. Yeah, well, I guess in the link in the description box below, we'll go ahead and link all these things, that your business in with or partner with. So,
Yeah.
but like your pro donut or the donut, then also your gun, the massage gun, then
Like if you
everything. Yeah. So we'll
Yeah,
go ahead and link it.
it's something I live and believe in. Our CBD products I take.
Yeah.
The Gaikifu brand, I wear it every day. And the donuts, I eat a donut every day. I ate 4 yesterday.
Hey, what is it? 5 to 1 donut.
So
So
yeah,
that's cool,
it's been a
man.
blessing. It's been a blessing,
Yeah.
but hopefully things will look on the up and up for new industry, especially for 2020 here in Utah. So we're
Yeah.
excited.
That's awesome. Other businesses? Any other businesses that you're in? Or just those for now?
Just those for now. I mean, I still do solar,
Okay.
so I'll go to California for, if a farm needs it,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that versus refer it
Right.
because I can fly standby. So, but yeah, still in the solar industry as well, which I I believe in green energy. I have solar on my house, so
Gotcha. And again, thanks for coming on the podcast and just this knowledge that you have and just passing it on. And there's a lot of people out there, I'm sure, that would appreciate just the person that you are with the businesses that you're in. And I guess just to end, I got a few questions. Just whatever comes to mind. The first thing that comes to mind, just go for it. So the first question: what takes up too much of your time?
social media.
What do you wish you knew more about?
The cannabinoids all the cannabinoids in the plant, the cannabis plant.
Um, what are some things that you had to unlearn?
Um, I don't know how to say this. People that hate for free. So if they didn't bring any value to me, if I'd always feel, for example, I'd literally always feel, and this was a good friend,
Mm-hmm.
good friend, was one of my reps as well too, and we'd always trade jokes back and forth. But man, on all my business posts, there was always something hurtful or negative, and I thought to myself, is he bringing me any value right now? Am I bringing him any value? So just cut it off. I just cut it, block it. Don't need to hear. I mean, life is already full of negatives already, and people are already against you. Why add to it? So you control that. You control what you allow. So just if it doesn't do you any good, you want to cut it off. So I had to
Yeah,
learn. Don't hang on to people that don't bring me any value.
right. That's cool. What's your favorite book?
How to Make Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
Okay. If you could spend a day with someone dead or alive, who would it be?
My dad.
Nice. What's special about the place you grew up?
Salt Lake, the relationships. Yeah, both. Salt Lake, the relationships, and the Magna, the lessons learned.
What have you only recently formed an opinion about?
I would have to say cannabis, marijuana. It's like only recently been within the last 3 years. So family that I have that have even been smoking marijuana for years, they're looking at me surprised. I
Yeah.
mean, my dad's, bishop, brand president, stake presidency in the Mormon church. So, and they knew how strict he was. And I think they all know, like, I would never, none of the kids would ever touch that stuff. But for me to kind of be involved in the industry, I think that's,
Mind blowing.
I'm mind blowing to myself too.
Gotcha. Um, what's the luckiest thing that's happened to you?
Oh, my wife, 100%.
Good answer.
Yeah,
Shout out to the
100%.
wifey.
Shout out to you, Gabs. Putting up with all my bull crap.
What song will guarantee to make you dance?
Rapper's delight.
What are you looking forward to in the next 10 years? Whether business wise or personal?
Yeah, just seeing my being present, seeing my kids. I mean, these are my oldest is 10.
Yeah.
Sorry, 11. So I 5 kids. So him being 11, there's going to be a lot of things to see in the next 10 years. So
Right.
exciting.
What could you give a 40-minute presentation on with no preparation?
Family experiences.
What hobby would you get into if time and money weren't an issue?
Time and money weren't an issue. I'd love to travel and see all cultures all over the world. Yeah.
Nice. When people come to you for help, what do they usually need help with?
Learning more about cannabis.
Gotcha. And what is something you think everyone should do at least once in their life?
Cannabis. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry.
The effects.
I'm keeping it 100. No, I think I think everybody should kind of see for themselves if there's something that works for them or something that doesn't. But I mean, they
Right.
each their own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What helps you live in the moment?
The kids.
And which of your scars has the best story behind it?
Mm. That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
We'll come back to that one.
Yeah.
And if you could give back to your village, what would you do? Or how would you give back?
And I think if I give back to my village, I think of my kids because I think you shouldn't try to fix other people until you fix yourself. So if I can't, and my dad was big on that. If I can't even take care of my own kids, how do I expect to make a difference in other kids' lives or other people's lives? So yeah, my own family, like whatever they need be, whether it be support in the highs and lows, I want to be there to for my village, just so that they know I was always there in during the ups and the downs.
Dang, preach, man.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, and then I guess going back to the scars, which of your scars has the best story behind it?
Um,
The black eye your brother gave you
yeah,
growing up as kids, yo.
I'd say my
All kinds of
Achilles
stories.
tendon. I tore my Achilles tendon when I was about to walk on to
Oh wow.
Division 1 in football, and after my mission, but I was playing rugby on the off season,
Mm,
and my Achilles tendon tore,
wow.
and that takes about a year recovery. And then you see all the other young straplings come in, and they look better at that position, and so that I was like, I don't think I'm gonna try to walk on.
Yeah.
And then shortly after that, I found my wife. So
It all worked out perfect, huh? Awesome, man. Well, one thing I forgot to ask earlier. I guess what does success mean to you, or what does it look like to you?
I think it's more so if how my kids turn out.
Yeah.
Like I see a lot of and I know a lot of people that money or not, and you know, if your kids don't, I could see how much it could cost, and I don't think for one of my friends' dad, I mean, he's loaded, but I don't think he would he have the money to pay to repair maybe some of the relationships with the kids. So
Right.
when people say success, money, of course everybody would love to have money. I'm not gonna say I don't want money. I want money.
Yeah.
Got to put food on the table. But I want to see how my kids turn out. I would have more success in seeing how they turn out versus if I wasn't there and turned out a way that down a path that wasn't good for them.
Yeah. Awesome.
I'll base my success off my fruits.
Yeah. Dang, man. Well, again, good luck, success, and hopefully, everything that you do
Appreciate
with
it.
your CBD and like your fuel and everything. But appreciate the time. And again, stay tuned for another episode. This is another one, the Village Made Podcast.
Deuces. Thanks, bro.